many of the veteran groups. Not one of them. So these people who, yes, one, just, I'll get to you. So, so the second thing is that in this idea that we can print money, that there's no fiscal restraint. And we went up, every year we were trying to live within our means to where we weren't borrowing 43 cents out of every dollar. And so we literally would try to balance a checkbook. We couldn't do it, but we came within 300 billion or so, and the deficits were too high, don't get me wrong, and we spent too much. But we were living with those restraints, and to find a billion here and a billion there was something. So we went from, I forget the numbers, 33 to 60 billion more or less. The funding for veterans now is 112 to 120. You should be seeing twice as good a service. You should be seeing much better service because you got twice the dollars. But also, you have these people who are no longer able to get into the system because they said, we're not going to let you in now. And so just understand that if you're seeing better service, you should be seeing at least twice as good a service, maybe 3 times as good a service. And again, keep in mind that we're printing a lot of these dollars, creating inflation to do that. 3 new questions. Go. 1, 2, 3. Yes, sir. Go on. And thanks, Henry, just for setting us up. Appreciate that.
Mr. Pierce, I got a question. I think everybody in this room got the same one. There's no place close for these veterans to go. If you're lucky enough to get to go to El Paso, that's what, 196 miles away. You can't go to Artesia, that's a clinic, and they're overcrowded. Then you wait. I waited a year and a half for a hearing test in Albuquerque, and that's a 4.5 hour, 5-hour drive. You need someplace closer in southeast New Mexico to see the veterans here. You could die on that bus on the way up to Albuquerque. I mean, is there any way we can get some funding?
Well, one of the things that we did in here, and one of the things that makes sense to me, is that I introduced a bill just for this reason. I have heard this over and over. By the way, how much do you get if you drive to Albuquerque from here? Anybody?
About 229 round trip.
229 round trip.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they charge you for that too, to support that pay system.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
charge you $9.
Right. Okay, so 220 bucks. Now, it does not make sense to me that we would pay you $220 and use gas, which drives our national consumption of petroleum products up, makes us more dependent on foreign oil. And I will tell you that any doctor in town would see you for half your gas money. For $110, that would be half your gas money. They get $32 for Medicaid, sometimes $15 or $20 for Medicaid. So they don't want to take the cases. And so to me, it made sense. Don't take any of the money away from the hospital, just use the driving money. The money you would get, and then you go to a local rider. Somebody here give you a voucher. The VA didn't want that, and they were absolutely able to bottle that bill up. Telling you Americans are ready to fight back on this issue alone. Veterans are willing to fight back, and it's a fight that I would happily get into because I hate things that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to make people drive all the way to Albuquerque for a hearing test. There are some things that if you want to get a surgery, that makes sense. But to get your blood pressure taken, a hearing test, those things we could solve immediately with you going to a local provider. You wouldn't have to wait a year to do it. So that's a fight that I promise we'll get back to.
Congressman, just on that question, because I'm an engineer and I like a lot of detail. Could you talk about that issue a little further? Because it's important, because I drive up to Albuquerque. I'm a Panama and first Gulf War service disabled vet, and you know it's a pain for a lot of people. They're good enough to give us gas money, and they do give us a hotel if it's available. But can you go into some more details about what you're planning to do, and how would you offset the cost?
There's no cost to offset. You're an engineer. You're paying the gas money.
No. I'm talking about you're a congressman, so you represent our district, but you need to get other congressmen to put together a bill, to put down together a concept, right? sometimes it might cost money. How would you do?
This would not cost money. It is less money than what it spends right now.
Right.
I'm saying just use half the gas money.
And
Leave the
give-
other half in the budget.
And then give the local give
Give a local doctor,
veterans
give a local
vouchers.
doctor a voucher for
Vouchers.
just half the gas money. I mean, to me, it makes all the sense in the world.
Okay.
There was a veteran over in Roswell, and this is the reason I got into it initially. They were making him drive to Albuquerque. He had diabetes, turn around and come back, and many times they were canceling his appointments. With diabetes and the lack of circulation in his feet, they eventually amputated one leg because of the drive, and then they amputated the second leg because of the drive, and then it actually killed him about 3 years ago. It was when they were, he was saying, I can't do this anymore, the circulation is really bad, and it's 5 hours or so from Roswell, whatever it is, 3. And
Did
so.
you say that this was a bill you proposed when you were
Yes,
Congressman?
yes, we absolutely introduced the bill, we got a hearing on it, and we would reintroduce that bill again. And the cost is zero, and we simply appeal to the right thinking of Americans. If anyone in Congress would not hear, most of the states are little bitty. They don't have these big distances, and they got big populations, so they got veterans places all around. Another deal we fought for was to get these clinics built down here. We fought to get a clinic somewhere down here. We fought because the guy there, he would tell them, I can't take care of you. And he's on his computer, this is the guy there, the doctor. And they would be watching from out through the window, and they were watching him, and he was playing hearts on his computer. Playing computer games and hollering, I don't have time to take care of you. And so that's when we bring down George Marnell, who is the head of the VA system there in Albuquerque, and said, you gotta look at this guy. We can't have this kind of just shrugging off of the needs. So we worked to get another rural clinic. We finally got the money for a rural clinic. You know where the VA put it? The rural clinic for New Mexico, the last one built?
Rio Rancho.
Rio Rancho, yes. Somebody been reading the mail. Yeah.
Well, it's what you Albuquerque.
Rio Rancho, I'm sorry, we got Silver City, we got in Carlsbad, and we built it in Rio Rancho. I'm telling you, surely politics at work. All right, 3, who was the third?
No,
3,
hold on a
just
second.
the only, one rule. I only take one question at a time. We got 1,000 people that wanna.
Yeah, that guy didn't get his question answered on the way. So
I'm
you
sorry.
are on the subcommittee for.
Which question did not get
Sir,
answered?
you didn't answer
Which question
Mr.
did
Gray's question at all.
Sir.
And I wanted to make sure that it got done.
Who is Ray? Ray.
Richard Gray.
Richard
Ray.
Graves.
Richard.
Yes.
He says your question was not answered. If I didn't answer your question, I'm sorry, I'll go back and take it again.
I think he pretty much answered it.
All right, if I answered it to your benefit, then I answered it. Yes, sir.
I'd like to have my question because you didn't answer his question.
I'm sorry, you asked, there is one rule. One guy can take up the whole time, and I have one rule in these, and that is, if you want to ask 2 questions, everybody with one question goes first. You're the number 1 guy on the number 2 list. Fair enough? Now I'm going to the first question here. You ask a question, I answered it as directly as I could. You ask a follow-up question, I answered that. We got a lot of people to ask, and we got 30 minutes. Yes, sir.
As a Vietnam veteran, I moved here from El Paso back in March. This is my hometown. And I was going to the VA in El Paso. But the doctor, every time I would go in there to see him, he would ask me how I'm doing. I said, I'm fine. He says, I'll be right back. And he'd come back 15 minutes later, and he'd say, I'll give you a prostate check, and that's all I can do for you. So I don't have to go to the VA now, thank God. But I was traveling to El Paso as far as this travel pay. I went there once. They gave me $125 for the trip there. The veterans in Las Cruces go to the VA in El Paso. Las Cruces is 200 and some miles from Albuquerque. Why do those veterans in Las Cruces get the luxury of going to the Veterans Administration Hospital in El Paso, and they get travel pay? But we here, I was under the impression that we got no travel pay from Carlsbad to Albuquerque.
You're supposed to get travel pay. That was something they had quit paying travel pay about 2004 or so. And again, it was us they were paying like 11 cents, is that right? Again, this is coming from memory about 5 years ago, but I was in these meetings a lot, so you're getting 11 cents for mileage. We couldn't pay gas that, we couldn't even pay for the air.